Decentring ELT practices and possibilities, RISEL, a Decentring research network. Okay, so let's welcome Gloria. Yes, so you can start whenever you're ready. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Pia. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here at this time of the day. I would like to just start by introducing the network RISELT and how we've been able to deal with decentering in our own practices and the things we do in Chile as part of the network. So next, please. So to start, we have to understand what decentering is. And in 2018, the Hornby Educational Trust launched the initiative Decentring ELT. The main objective primarily is to identify, publicize, and support English language educators who locally and collaboratively develop activities that respond to their circumstances. So it has to do with what Paula was mentioning about all this idea of creating local expertise, local knowledge, local activities that would help us improve the learning of the language. But it is also about empowerment, particularly of local TESOL professionals around the world to develop local frames for action. Decentring ELT also implies the recognition of contextually situated insider expertise and creativity, and the organization of ELT communities that work to develop contextually appropriate thinking and action. I think this is important because it's beyond the application of activities, is beyond the reproduction of activities we receive from the global north, but it's about thinking and action and developing frames of knowledge and of action as well. Next, Pia, please. So how is it that we in RISELT understand decentring? First of all, if we take Ashworth circles, personally, I don't like the expanding circle being behind all the other circles. So I think it's important for us that in this idea of understanding decentring, we move away the expanding circle to showcase what we can do in the expanding circle. How important is the sensitivity of local context? How important is teacher empowerment? And obviously, how valuable is the knowledge that is created in the expanding circle? So to me and to RISELT, we are not behind the circles anymore. We are on the side, creating knowledge, creating ideas, and thinking about our local and local situations. Next, please. So when RISELT was born 10 years ago, and I'm very proud to say that I'm one of the founding members of RISELT, and we've been working with a great team that volunteers to do this work for 10 years. We had in mind the social context of Latin America and particularly Chile. So we all know that neoliberal policies are rooted in LATAM, and this creates the English divide, which is the differences in education based on wealth. Due to this situation, English teachers are challenged constantly by social inequalities, and this makes them be drawn apart from the niche communities that create and publish knowledge in ELT in the academic arena. So teachers don't regularly have access to research, even research that's available. Sometimes you have to pay for it. You have to pay for conferences. So we had all these things in mind, and what happens when teachers are faced with this reality, there's a gap between what school teachers need and what researchers and academics produce. There's a clear domination of the global north. So we have that conferences, publications, and we have all these experts that, well, when we started 10 years ago, it was really dominant in our country. There was a lot of undervalue of local professionals as creators of ELT knowledge. And obviously, all this knowledge created up north is non-transferable and sometimes not really appropriate for our local practices, and the methodological procedures and principles cannot be really applied and do not correlate with the things that we experience in the global south. Next, please. So we've been decentering without even knowing that we were decentering ELT in 2014 when we started the network. And we had this idea with all the social context that I mentioned, and we started kind of planning things that we could do. So the first and most important thing we've been doing so far is the biannual conference. We did last year the 5th conference. What's interesting about this conference is that everyone who is researching ELT in Chile is welcome to present. So we don't have only these academics that are regularly the ones that introduce and present their research, but we have teachers, school teachers presenting their work, and also pre-service teachers presenting the things they do in undergrad. The conference is free of charge for everyone, and it's been growing in time. We also have multiple affiliation inclusive projects. For example, last year we did 2 projects, no, 2 years ago, the infographics and the podcast project. And in these projects, a group of team from different affiliations participated. So we had a team working with academics, with future teachers, school teachers, all of them interacting and creating knowledge to develop these projects. As I mentioned before, the conferences and membership is free. So with this idea, we give equal access and participation for all. And the way we do it, because as we don't receive any money, is we partner with key members of the community in ELT, with universities, with the Ministry of Education, with some embassies as well. We have created a website that gives visibility to the ELT made in Chile. One aspect of the website, and I think it's the most important one, has a database of all the publications that have been done in ELT in Chile. We started in 2014 with 10 publications, and so far we have around 400 names of work that's being done locally. We also support local researchers. For example, they contact us when they need to do some recruitment for their work. And on our social media, we publish their work, the projects they are doing, the research that they have received funding for. And we help them with this dissemination of the things that they do when they publish and when they are looking for participants for their studies. Next. So from the beginning, I mean, 10 years ago, our idea was decentering our own center. So what happens with RISELT, it's a non-hierarchical network. We don't have a president, a secretary, so we all work together at the same level. Ideas just come up and we start developing these things, so we don't follow a certain order in this governance. So it's horizontal. We work on a volunteer basis and it's very collaborative. The funding, as I said before, as we don't receive money from conferences or from membership, we work in partnerships with different universities and institutions, and we've been applying for funds to some external institutions like Hornby Trust. So we received some money to do some projects. And the other thing that was established naturally from the beginning is that in our network, there are no personal agendas. If you go to the website, you won't find the photographs or anyone participating in the network. because more than focusing on the individual, we focus on the collective. Participation is equal. There's a lot of community development work, and there isn't a face behind the network. So whenever we sign, we don't sign under the name of a president or the vice president. It's just RISELT network. So that makes it decentering internally, but also decentering externally with the things and the activities that we've been doing in Chile for 10 years. And I'm very proud to be part of RISELT. So finally, we have, that's one of the conferences that we did. You can follow us on social media, and there you have our website where you will find all the things that we've been doing all this time. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Gloria, for your presentation. This was certainly interesting. And now it's time to move to our second presentation. So we have Eugenia and Marina, who will be sharing with us their perspectives on decentering ELT in Argentina. So Eugenia and Marina, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And really, I have to say that it's a real pleasure to share this time with colleagues from Latin America and to be part of the work that you've been doing with RISELT and all the other associations all over Latin America that are part of this kind of work, of decentering actions that we've been doing for so long. So, well, my name is Eugenia Carrion Canton, and together with Marina Gonzalez, we will be representing, showing, and exchanging some ideas about examples of different decentering activities and actions in Argentina, in different institutions, right? The first thing that I would like to say is that, well, here I am basically representing FAPI, that is the Argentinian Federation of Associations of Teachers of English, together with universities of Argentina. So I'm very proud to represent FAPI in this event, in this webinar. And well, let's share some ideas. Let's see. Yes, you can follow us, right? And I think thank you, girls, for sharing our links and all that. So I think that we are ready for next. Okay, well, it was very difficult for us to choose and to summarize some of the actions that all over Argentina have been done in this period, right, in relation to decentering activities and actions. But well, I think that we chose a bunch that represents different institutions. The first example that we would like to share is something that we call the Teacher Education Roundtable at FAPI International Conference. For a long time, we can say many conferences, we have incorporated the participations of representatives from all over the country of teacher training colleges and universities to discuss and refer about different topics related to initial teacher education at different instances of the conferences, the FAPI conferences. You can see right on the pictures that are on the left, top and bottom, right? Examples of panels of teachers from represented universities and teaching training colleges. At La Pampa, there was the last conference in Argentina last September, and the year before in Jujuy in the north of Argentina. This is very interesting because it is a space, right? And within the conference for, let's say, making visible teacher training colleges and the discussion in relation to the topics and the tensions and the challenges that universities and teaching training colleges have in relation to the development of initial teacher education and also professional development. So we thought that it was an interesting example to share. And we also included, right, the participation in international, let's say, boards or panels with the rest of Latin America and the world. We believe that this is really important because as you can see in the two flyers that we included, right? The first one that is a webinar that is organized by our colleague Jaime and Kahima, right? That again, right, volunteer, he works with a net of teachers, right, to organize webinars for free, right, for all the world. And there is always a space, a round table with guest speakers from Latin America. In this case, the participation was related to teacher training, colleges and universities. And well, there the participation was with professionals from UNPAS, that is the University of José de Paz. And the following example is a network of, let's say, professionals from ELT, from Argentina, women, all women are from Argentina and Cameroon, who also thought that it was necessary to share impressions in relation to initial teacher education. So these are examples, I believe, that are quite powerful in terms not only on decentering activities per se, but also in the exchange and the sharing of, let's say, the same similar challenges, right? Even though the context is not exactly the same, right? So I think that we are done with that one. Maybe we can move to the next one. A different example is the presentation of this material that is, in this case, is the design materials design. And this is the presentation of free access reading material that is called Welcome to My Pago. And this is an, let's say, an initiative from a local government, from the Ministry of Education of the province of Tierra del Fuego, together with, let's say, some group of teachers from different levels of education, right, who work together in order to develop a material that could help teachers at primary school, supporting, right, their, let's say, the development of their own classes, and also a material that was important for the learning of students. This is not, let's say, a textbook, it's a reading book, right? And something that is important in relation to this, I would like to highlight two things. The first one is that the name was very important because it is called My Pago, right? Making reference not only to the territorial reference, I would say, but also all the historical agreements and, let's say, cultural agreements in relation to the people who share, right, that territory we are all living in, I would say, right? Something else is that it highlights and develops the concept of translanguage in the sense that language and Spanish is used, and also it highlights some cultural trajectories, of course, in the context of, right, whenever these languages are needed in a meaningful context, of course, right? And the aim of this material, right, as you can read, basically was to look at various social representations that textbooks at the time this material was published 2 years ago were not available at all, right? And also to approach learning English as a foreign language and to acknowledge multiple and multicultural educational trajectories in relation to teaching and learning this new language. We will share the link so you can get the material. This material is available for free, right? For students for primary school. So if you are interested, we can share the link to have access to it. I don't know, Marina, tell me if I forgot something.
No, by no means. It's
Okay,
just
all
fine.
right.
Just
Okay,
fine.
so the
Okay.
floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Marina Gonzalez. I've seen some well-known faces around, and in this particular moment, I will be speaking as part of the consultant group of the government of Tierra del Fuego, which allowed us to share and to edit part of this material together with the teacher's notes as well, because part of the decentering effort that we are trying to start in this area is allowing people, the teachers, to work from their own curriculum, I mean, from the government curriculum, and then use the materials that are necessary that represent their reality. If we may move, Pia, I will be sharing some initiatives that we have at university, as some of you know already. My identity lay in these last years is head of the teacher education program in EFL at UMPAS University. So the context allowed for something quite particular. That is, we are creating a curriculum for teacher development, okay? And most of the times when we work in teacher education, we are already working with something that has already been set and agreed. And in this moment, we are allowed to create. So in this sense, it's that we would like to share what we are doing in teacher education. One of the first things that is also connected with work we've done with Tierra del Fuego is using social history, okay? Is our social history, our local and near history, okay? Not the typical facts that appear in history books, but the social recent history that affects the social and political problems that our countries have, okay? As Rizal said, not the people in it, but Rizal said, we are trying to work on, our work on decentering is related to placing our center in ourselves and not in the story somebody else gives us, but sharing what we think. And in this case, there is a book that was translated with the colleagues from Tierra del Fuego, which is Identity, a Pedagogy on Collective Memory. Okay, so you can see the first link in terms of collective memory. It was a term that was impossible to translate because if we used memory, it was basically the psychological event, and we're talking about collective memory, okay? Something that happens to society. And after the translation, this material, which is also free and downloadable, that anyone who is interested can access. We started working, and that's the picture that you can see. It's a meeting with the author who's in the center, Claudio Altamirano, who's a teacher, and basically a teacher with lots of experience in education on collective memory. Where there was a meeting with the students of the teacher education program and people who are starting their careers at their courses of studies at university, okay? Basically, the purpose of this was to produce a discussion that would allow materials as this that could reach the classrooms, okay, in primary schools and in secondary schools, because basically the book collects the conversations between abuelas and madres de Plaza de Mayo visiting primary schools and their conversations with students, so that they told them their personal stories, who they were, who they are, what they liked. I mean, giving a space to the person, okay? So this is the first thing that we wanted to share. If we could move to the next slide. We are also working on, as you mentioned, connecting the activity with reality. Something that has been quite common so far is that universities are not for everybody, but they are for an elite. and that whenever people arrive to university, they disconnect with the reality or with the world from which they come. So our university, particularly because of its creation, chart, etc., worships the connection with the territory. Okay, we are the courses of study that we offer, etc., are an answer to the needs of the territory. So what we are trying, first of all, is to put it to connect secondary school students, okay, with would-be teachers, okay, with future graduates, through games and through the use of language. And we also open, according to the agenda of plurilingualism that we have in our country, opening the space for other languages, okay? And if we may move to the last one so that I don't take that much time. The other thing that we also do is not only at the level of teacher education, but also with teachers who are in service, we try to give them an answer to their needs. That means that we do not offer training, we open dialogues. And as a result of the dialogues from their needs, we try to offer what we can. Okay, basically it's company, basically it's being providing them with answers, providing them with materials, providing them with spaces, but basically it's giving their voice the value that is necessary, because they are the ones who are teaching a language, and sometimes we are in the offices just thinking for the future. And in that sense, it's not only the dialogues that are shown at the to my left, but the one in the center is also related to, again, the plurilingualism and the relationship between languages and democracy. Okay, this idea of using languages to connect with each other, to express who we are to somebody else, so that we are going to have our place. And the last thing that I want to share is that it's not only discussing theory, but it's also surveying the reality. And that's why we have produced certain few papers on the working conditions of teachers, because and that's why we shared the picture of the first slide with the typical image of the English teacher according to somebody's preconceptions, okay, but that does not match the reality of the teachers in our territory. And knowing that, for example, most of the teachers who work as English teachers in the suburban area of Buenos Aires cannot make ends meet, okay? And this is something that needs to be spoken, needs to be researched, and needs to be present because that's the reality of the people who work in the field, okay? So as far this is what we have to share today. Thanks a lot for giving us this space, and of course we are all open to further information and exchanges. Okay, so thank you, Result.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you very much for this presentation. Was Marina and Eugenia, this was very insightful, and I guess it was food for thoughts for all of us in around Latin America and the Caribbean. So we are going to move to the last presentation of the first section of this webinar, right? And let's welcome Ines and Maria Isabel from the case of exploratory practice in Rio, Brazil.
Right. Thank you, Giselle. Thank you, Pia, and everybody else for this invitation. As some of you know, my name is Inés Cayón de Miller, and I work at PUC Rio, the Catholic University of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil.
And I'm Maria Isabel Cunha. I also work at PUC Rio de Janeiro, and also at the laboratory school at the Federal University.
Right. We are both teacher educators, and we have been affiliated for years and developed some of the ideas of exploratory practice, and this is what we plan to do tonight. We have prepared this presentation to show how we understand decentering our practices within exploratory practice. Could we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So for those of you who are not familiar with these ideas, we put a short, very brief contextualization of the ideas of exploratory practice, which we consider a modality of practitioner research. I can't see the whole screen for some reason. Which is developed in initial and continuing practitioner, teacher and learner development in the context of Rio de Janeiro language institutes, private and public schools, and universities. So it's been a very integrated way, type of work among universities. Along with Brazilian and other applied linguists, we consider, we believe that it's possible to reinvent life in educational context and also reinvent ways of producing knowledge. Within EP, we consider teachers, students, and other practitioners as knowledge makers in the field. So in that sense, we believe, and I think I forgot to mention the title of this slide, which was to say that in exploratory practice, decentering has been a belief more than a trend, as in many other presentations before, in both presentations before us. We also believe we encourage teachers to think of themselves as practitioners with their students, so to work with their students. It is urgent also, along with Hooks and Freire, we also believe it is urgent to fight for social transformation inside and outside the classroom. We're very happy to have here the teacher who developed this research, this work that you can see. We don't have much time to present all of it, but it's the work developed by a group of students who live and work in a very dangerous, let's say, region of Rio, and who, when they're working on a map of the region, they discovered that their region was not on the map. So that raised a whole important socio historical and so on rebellion, we could say, but which they transformed with Palmira's help, who is here, into very interesting research and discussion, which they will present, and we will talk about this a bit later. So great, could I have the next slide, please? All right, so for us in exploratory practice, decentering is integrated within classroom practices. So we find teachers and students as key developing practitioners of teaching and learning. So you have a teacher here and two posters from students who have dedicated themselves and their colleagues in their classrooms to try to understand issues that interest them, their local puzzles, as exploratory practice is normally known for raising puzzles. In some cases, there are two here to exemplify, just to exemplify out of millions of posters that we collect and have collected over the years, is one in which they were discussing the color of their uniform, which was complicated because it was the same color as the garbage company uses in Brazil, in Rio. And in the other case, they were raising the issue of why teachers can use a copybook or their notes to write on the board, and they couldn't or they can't use or consult anything during tests. On another picture here, which I'm pointing at, shows future teachers working at the university in a very integrated way, also preparing a poster. And we consider teacher educators, right, thank you, and teacher learners as learners. So considering that we're all learners, lifelong learners, and learning everywhere. On the bottom right-hand corner here, we have students who are researching the books that the government sends because the teacher encouraged them, told them that she needed their help to choose the book they would use that year. She could choose, but she thought that rather than her doing the job, the students could also help her. So we think that those learners and others our researchers. Next slide, please. Now it's Bebel.
Yeah, well, here we also see other academic practices with aiming at decentering and giving voice to the agents, right? So here on this side, you can see a poster working with the students who are working with something that they wanted to, that they decided that it would be interesting, like nicknames and the reason for using nicknames. So this was a class group poster. And then later on, this was presented in seminars and congresses, also published in different kinds of publications, as you see here done by the BAU and other institutions. And because they also presented their work, their research in many different occasions. And you can also see here the exploratory practice ebook that was written collaboratively again. And we have the two versions in Portuguese and in English, and everything was done collaboratively. Please, the next one, please.
Sorry.
Thank you. And also we have many exploratory practice events, and you can see here the a little bit of the program of the latest one, which is on the on November 24. And in the program, you can see that it starts with the presentation of posters and exploratory work. The event doesn't have an opening with somebody coming to declare it open, but it's the poster presenters who start and work there. Also, workshops and conversation circles were structured and initiated by students with the teachers or by students themselves. And this is a picture of what's going on during these events, where 350 teachers and students were present. And here also in moments of discussion, poster presentations, and workshops, trying to foster agency, right, of the members, students, and teachers. Next, please. Well, we also have meetings and monthly meetings and conversations with international and national EP, other EP groups. And even during the pandemic, we had the online annual event, as you can see here, surviving, right? And we also have, we join other teachers associations, right, Inés?
Right. Yeah, it's important to say that we are representing the Rio de Janeiro Exploratory Practice Group, right? We are not essentially an association, but we're all members of other teacher associations in Brazil, both in Brazil and in the state of Rio, like Brastiço and Pliege and Paul and so on. And we have participated and constantly participate along with our students, and sometimes when possible, even with school students of these Aplierge events, which are the Rio de Janeiro, Brastiço, where we have also published things in their newsletters, and Paul Ayla, the International Applied Linguistics, the Brazilian Applied Linguistics, ALAB, and Jetefela, which is a group, a working group for teacher educators within the perspective of applied linguistics. And it's very nice, and thank you very much, to see some of the members, many of the members of the Rio Exploratory Practice Group who are present here, former students, current colleagues, and we would like really to thank Result for inviting us and for accepting us among other associations. We consider ourselves, but we're not legally an association. We're a group, a working group. As was mentioned before, everything is volunteer, as hierarchical as possible, and so on. So I think we belong in this group. So we are very happy, and we thank you for inviting us and listening. And we are more than glad to answer questions later and to share. We will put in the chat our links for our groups for Facebook and stuff, which we forgot to do for the slides. Thank you so much. I don't know about.
Thank
we
you very
rushed.
much.
You're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome.
No, this was great. Thank you very much, Ines.
Thank
And Maria
you.
Isabel, you have done a lot of work. Certainly, we were impressed by the number of events and also the number of people that you managed to gather and sustain this group for a long time. So thank you
That is
very
a good
much. You're
one.
certainly an
Sustainable.
inspiration for
Thank
all of us. Yeah. Thank you. So now, so these are the reference in case you want to check. We will share the recording and also the PPTs for these presentations, right? In
Thank you
case
very much.
you'd like to consult them later. So you can find them at the RISELT website. Yes, and now we are going to move to our second stage, let's say, of this webinar. We are going to start, so first we were thinking or like peeling the onion, trying to see what is Decentring for us, yes, according to these three perspectives from these countries. Yes, of course, because of time, we couldn't include everyone, but in order to incorporate and acknowledge the voices of different teachers and associations in ELT in Latin America and Caribbean, right, we are going to welcome Loreto, who will be moderating this section of our webinar. So
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Pia. So we have managed to get in touch with several associations and institutions in Latin America and the Caribbean, which they have described activities that they have done in order to understand and share what they've been doing to the center. But before we watch these videos, I'm going to ask you to take a second and read the slide that you have here, which the concepts of decentering. What is decentering? So according to the Hornby Educational Trust, the ideas of decentering is the sharing of meaningful and useful resources, skills, and knowledge among local teacher communities, identify, nurture, and share local expertise, involve and focus and state the needs of learners and teachers, and also involve actors from different parts of the educational system, collaboration and horizontal work among teachers, educators, teachers, and pre-service teachers. So bearing these questions in mind, we will ask you to open a Padlet that I have just copied the link on the chat. You can also scan the QR code, and it's also available on our website. So as we watch these videos that are very, very short, by the way, I'd like you to keep these questions in mind, these concepts in mind, and we'd like you to think about these two questions. What elements of decentering do you see in these videos regarding materials, contents, and context? And the second question that we'd like you to answer is what do you think it is needed in Latin America and the Caribbean region to align with these decentering principles? So take these two questions into account as we listen to. So this is going to be an interactive activity. So as we watch the videos, please have the Padlet open. I'm going to put the questions in the chat as well, so you can access them as we watch the videos. Okay? Yeah, would you please press play?
Yes, let me just erase the little square and I will hit yes, so we can move. forward.
Hello everyone, my name is Miguel Angel Carranza. I'm a professor at Universidad El Salvador. I have been preparing teachers of English for the last 30 years. I'm currently involved in this interesting project called English for a Better Future, which is a collaborative effort of 6 private universities of the country, my state university, Ministry of Education, the American Embassy, and Soul.com. The purpose of this project is to provide quality online education to high school students in the country, and the facilitators are college students who volunteer their time, and some of them will probably take advantage of the opportunity and get their practicum. At the national level, the Ministry of Education has started changes in the English curriculum. They have created textbooks which right now are used by the 7th graders, 8th graders, and high school students. They are all using the same textbooks and content, and the Minet expects them to reach at the end of their education an A2 level according to the Common European Framework of Languages. In the country, we don't have a TESOL affiliate right now. Thank you.
I'm Mary Allegra, former president of the Venezuelan English Teachers Association, VENTISL, from 2015-2019. Nowadays, the teaching of English and the materials used continue to be centralized and controlled by the Ministry of Education of the current government. Between 2014 and 2019, VENTISL was responsible for writing projects endorsed by the United States Embassy in Venezuela, which trained Venezuelan teachers in designing educational materials to be adapted to particular educational needs due to the lack of teaching resources. Unfortunately, any project that attempts to decentralize EFL teaching in Venezuela is on hold due to the current country situation. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Hello, everybody. This is Valentina Canese. I am the current president of Paraguay TESOL, the Paraguayan affiliate of TESOL International. I am also the head of the language department at the National University of Asunción, and I am here to share a decentralizing project that we carried out with my colleague Susan Spezzini, who came to Paraguay on a Fulbright scholarship, and together we edited an open educational resource textbook for pre-service and in-service teacher education titled Teaching English in Global Context, Language Learning and Learners. And this book brought together 61 authors from 9 different countries to write 55 chapters, and countries including the United States and several countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, such as Honduras, Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, also from Russia and Australia. And each chapter talks about different aspects of teaching English in global context. And you can find it and download it on our website. That is, you can do it through the QR code or by clicking on the link. I hope you enjoy it and you can use it with your in-service and pre-service teachers. Thank you for this opportunity to share this project with you all.
Hello everyone, this is Julio Roa from Nicaragua. I work as an English teacher trainer for one of the biggest state university of the country, UNAM Managua. I am very excited to share with you that we started our first master's degree program in teaching English as a foreign language, whose purpose is to expand knowledge of the field and improve education in Nicaragua. In 2 years, we expect to graduate 12 new English teachers with a master's degree who will for sure impact the class with their expertise. Thank you. Bye.
So this is, we have more videos, but we have decided to split the videos to give you a couple of minutes, just 1 minute, because we know we don't have a lot of time left, but to actually take some time to go to the Padlet and write your comments. It's interesting what you can see, we can see here in this at the beginning. So there's comments about collaborations with local institutions. There's agreement in relation to materials in terms of making materials that are appropriate to the local contextual needs. And that is something that we also saw in the previous in the presentations from our colleagues from Brazil and Argentina as well. So there's also the collaboration with different sort of institutions, the ideas of linking with students and teachers, and all towards improving the quality of the local of ELT and learning and collaboration. But also there's emerging needs as well that that people have connected on the Padlet in terms of the importance of organizing more locally rather than be linked to traditional TESOL institutions, and more the need of having more situated research and involving in-service teachers. So the importance of making locally relevant practices in the region, and also the involvement also of pre-industry educations and visibility and recognition to local teacher research. That is really important, and this is at least something that we're very proud to be doing as RISOLT. So Pia, can you play the second part of this video?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Let me see if I'm doing it. Is it the same one? Yeah. I cannot hear you.
Sorry. So yeah, no, there is another slide and then another slide. So
Hold on.
27.
27.
27. That's it.
Seven.
That's the second part. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hello, I'm Zuleika Zapatero, President of Panama TESOL. Panama TESOL is dedicated to fostering a more inclusive and diversified approach to English language teaching. We recognize the significance of embracing diverse perspectives within language education. In this pursuit of this goal, we have initiated teacher training and development through TESOL tours. These tours provide essential training and professional development opportunities for educators across various provinces in Panama who may lack access or resources to participate in international conferences and events. Through our TESOL tour workshops, we equip educators from diverse provinces with the knowledge and tools necessary to establish inclusive and equitable learning environments. Our mission at Panama TESOL is to champion diversity and inclusion within ELT. We firmly believe that by challenging traditional approaches to language teaching, we can cultivate more enriching and empowering learning experiences for all. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Maria Susana Gonzalez. I am a teacher of English in Argentina, and I also teach Spanish. And I have a master in discourse analysis, and I am our TESOL president at this moment. Well, as regards decentering actions in our country, in general, there is a tendency to add material, to add our own material to the text materials that we have. In order to contextualize our teaching, including geographical, historical, and biological information or examples of our country. This is connected also with a tendency to read English following the school curriculum, so that the students are in contact with knowledge they are learning, and they can also read to learn in English. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Mesa. I am from Peru and I am an English teacher and English specialist. I used to work for the Ministry of Education a few years ago, and I should say that teachers in Peru are really working on decentering ELT. Most of those teachers who received some professional development from the Ministry of Education are now leaders of different initiatives in social media. For example, one of them is English Teachers in Peru, another one is Peruvian English Teachers, and they exchange material, they organize webinars, and they help each other. Myself, I am the founder of EL Talk, which is a podcast in which teachers have a voice and can talk about different topics and issues that are of their concern and interest.
Hello, my name is Glenda Gallardo, and I have been an English language teacher for more than 20 years. As Karen mentioned, I also have social media, and I have a group where I share events for teachers to know what they can do and what they can learn from other educators, material, PDFs, and I have always been interested in learning and keeping improving myself and my teaching. And thanks to this, I have been able to participate in webinars. And for example, last year I was invited as a distinguished TESOLer, and there are many things we can do as educators, but we need to just check information and keep updating ourselves. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Juana de Ayestas. I am from Honduras. I am the treasurer for ELT. Our work over the last year to decenter ELT has focused on two aspects. First, empowering teachers from the public school system to develop best practices in ELT that are contextual and relevant to their learning communities. We've done this through focused teachers training that involves translanguages and transcultural and heightening of the local identity, especially in areas where there are indigenous groups respecting their first language and bridging the differences and aligning the similarities in language development. A second project through Prelim has been design of didactic material that is contextualized and focused on national identity as well as validated by Honduras teachers by its use in the classroom with the learners. At present, it is in the process of being disseminated. This is our contribution from Honduras through ELT to the Center ELT. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Araceli Salas, and I work in a public university here in Puebla, Mexico. Being neighbors with the United States, it is not easy to decenter English. However, in my institution, we have made English. Yes, for example, I am very proud of my Mexican English, which has taken me everywhere in the world. A second effort is that we value and recognize the knowledge of scientists and ELT authors by quoting them or giving them recognition, as we know that they have, and we know and recognize that they have made big contributions to the field. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Pia, for having played this video. So we've seen lots of different initiatives here that we've seen in Latin America and the Caribbean. And interesting comments as well that we can see on the Padlet, and again, more or less related to what you was mentioning, idea of social media platforms as well, when we share events, the idea of dissemination of local voices, and again, how we validate what we are doing with local teachers. But due to time constraint, I'm going to invite Gracia. Gracia, are you there?
I am here. Unfortunately, my camera is not working. I did an update for Zoom and it stopped working. So sorry about that.
No, it's okay. So
Yeah.
who will be inviting us to summarize the key issues that we have been discussing today? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Loreto, and thank you, Pia, for the invitation to be here today. I'm going to be sharing some of the key takeaways from the conversation that we have had today and the wonderful examples that we have had from all the region. And it's important for setting the stage of these key takeaways that we say that we have explored decentering ELT as a concept that is constantly evolving, and where teachers, organizations, and teacher associations, ministries, supporters, different actors are playing a different role in this dynamic concept. But also, if you notice, it's focusing on those contextual practices that are happening. We heard from Gloria all the great work that they are doing through Research Chile and visualizing on decentering an equitable level space. I really liked her vision of we are leveling the playing field, and that's part of decentering. And then Eugenia from Argentina, who shared about the wonderful work that have been doing with the roundtables and linking their work to the international community. Marina also talked to us about those efforts in the local production of materials. And we heard about our colleagues from Brazil about that perspective of exploratory practice from the Rio de Janeiro group. And going beyond what is happening and thinking about decentering as different layers, integrating the classroom, integrating academics, bringing the voices of practitioners, which is really important because that's the way of actually addressing the challenges that our communities are facing. From the videos and from the comments that we saw in the Padlet, we see that there are different strategies that the different countries are taking into decentering ELT. Some of them, like for example, the case of El Salvador, they're talking about how do we build capacity of youth? And that is a great place to start, right? Because youth are the next generations. They're building competencies that support their local community, and they are creating spaces for them to develop skills in different aspects in order that they remain in their country and support their local communities. Creating their own materials was also a general trend that we saw in El Salvador, that we saw in Paraguay, from the text that they were talking about. That's something that we also saw in Honduras. We also saw an example from Nicaragua where they are designing, and somebody had a question in the Padlet and they were asking, how is that decentering? They are creating on their own without external advisors or external support. They created their own master's program that is focusing on the needs and challenges that are contextual to the communities where they are serving. And I was able to teach 2 modules in this graduate program. And the way that they have set up and the way that they are working with us teachers that come into the program to teach the graduate students is that we need to build the work around the challenges and the issues in the communities. And they're not working necessarily with the communities in the big cities. They're focusing on those rural areas far away from the city that usually don't have access to education, and where teachers usually sometimes they only finish their bachelor's degree and are unable to get a graduate degree. So this is a very good example of what decentering can mean and how it responds to the contextual challenges and what is happening in their own communities and in their own areas. Panama also told us there is a lack of access to professional development that is high